During my Christmas break, I did what a lot of birds do. I flew south for the winter. Now, before any of you get on your high horse talking about, oh, you're a delusional penguin, you can't fly, bitch. Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of a fucking plane, dumbass? Anyway, I flew from California to Nigeria. And low-key, I don't want to do that shit again. Now, to do my country justice, I feel like I have to dispel some common misconceptions. 1. Just because we're in Africa doesn't mean that we don't have water. The country is literally right next to the water. They ain't got no aquatic problems. Which is funny because I remember being in school in California and niggas was joking around about Africans not having water when a fire just happened in Los Angeles and they struggled to take out the fire despite them being less than 10 miles away from the beach. Like, how the fuck we gonna struggle with an infinite water glitch right next to us and then make fun of Africans for not having any? I'd love to claim racism here, but a lot of black people were telling me this shit too. Second misconception. Everyone seems to believe that every country follows the spring, summer, fall, winter format. Nigga, Nigeria just has summer, 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 and summer light. And I feel like I'm being very generous with that light. Matter of fact, the coldest day in Nigeria could melt the polar ice caps. Y'all probably already knew that, but I had it written down and I really wanted to say it. Now to talk about my actual trip. Now, first off, my sister told me that she was gonna watch this video, so I thought to myself, I gotta be very careful with what I say. Now, when I first walked off that plane into the heat, the first thing that caught my eye was ass. Like, ass was everywhere. Ass was in abundance. You would swear they was giving that shit away. Hold on, do you think I'm joking when I say that they was giving ass away for free? My nigga, if you seen the quality of them BBLs, you would refuse to believe that somebody paid money for them shits. Half them bitches had to have had their shit done for free in a back alley. Like, I shit you not, there was a bitch out there that was built like a drumstick with legs. And when I saw her, I was confused as to why she wasn't in jail. Because if my doctor did me that dirty, I would have killed you. Anyway, when we got into the immigration area, the first thing my mom and my sister were really telling me was, do not speak English, nigga. Cause if they catch you speaking English, they gonna think you an easy lick. Now, I know how to speak our language. And I also like to use big words in English. So you got me fucked up out this world if you think I'm not about to use the word superfluous when 20 airport niggas are trying to come around and help us move our bags. After I said that word though, 10 more airport niggas came through just to swindle us. Talking about, if you give us money, we'll help fast track you out of the airport. Man, if you don't fuck from around here. The irony of this is that there was a "we do not condone extortion at our airport" sign 5 feet away from where this was happening. Anyway, we get outside and one of our relatives picks us up. And as we're driving down the highway, I'm just thinking to myself, wow, this looks like a regular African city. But that's when I got a whiff of the Nigerian rules of the road, or rather lack thereof. So, out of the 20 or so cars in front of me, only 5 of them were driving in the lanes. Shit, the car I was driving in wasn't even in a lane, nigga. The white lines for lanes are merely suggestions. The truly perplexing thing though is that niggas driving in between lanes would be honking at somebody driving in one lane, telling them to move out the way as if they were breaking the rules. On some beat get with the program nigga type shit. Actually, I lied. The most perplexing thing was riding shotgun and witnessing a car driving directly towards us. Now, I don't have any footage of what happened, so here's a dramatization in GTA of what happened to us. I believe it goes without saying, you are listening to the ramblings of a ghost. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, car horns are essentially meaningless. Like, let's say you hopped out your house to drive down to your homie's house down the street, you will get honked at least 50 times. But at a certain point, you can't even get mad because it's just noise pollution. Like, on several occasions, I saw my relative honk at a nigga in front of him, not because he was going too slow or just impeding his way, but just because the nigga was there. But you know what isn't there? Stop signs or stoplights. That shit just does not exist. Like, niggas be crossing the street and driving through intersections based off of vibes. Truly, the driving culture there is, if you not gonna go, I'ma go. And if you gonna go while I wanna go, shit, we gonna see who get there first. Moving on, despite the fact that I really wanna bring up that I've never seen a country in more dire need of a driving school in my life, my first night sleeping there was the equivalent of sleeping on the sun. No AC in the room, 80 degrees at night, had swamp dick and swamp ass. Mind you, I was butt naked in that bed, still sweating. And when I couldn't sweat anymore, I felt like Patrick and SpongeBob drying out on that fucking desk in the first movie. Like at a point, my sister came and knocked on the door to ask me if I wanted water, and I just responded with, that heat is no joke. So after we stayed with our relative for the night, we were gonna go fly out to go and stay at my mom's brother's mansion. Yes, I said mansion. Y'all gonna see what I'm talking about in a minute. While headed to the airport, my assumption was we gonna get to the airport, we're gonna wait for an hour, our flight comes, and we gone. Of course I was wrong. So instead of it taking us the original 1 hour until our flight, it took us 2 hours after our flight was supposed to take off before we left. The issue was that one of the flights was delayed and the airport didn't want to say anything to anybody. And when someone would ask, they'd just be like, go ask someone else.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Niggas was so mad that they almost started a riot in the middle of the airport. I wish I took a video of this. Anyway, eventually we get on the plane, land, get our luggage, and we're in front of the other airport. Soon, 2 of my uncles come to pick us up. And the thing is, a few days prior, I was jokingly telling my uncle on the phone, like, hey, when you pick us up, you should come through with a police escort, because I know Nigeria be on that fuck shit. And I was right, because there was like multiple niggas with AKs standing outside the airport. I even saw a nigga on a turret. Like, what is the purpose of you having this shit at an airport? Like, are you ready for war, my nigga? Anyway, my uncle actually did bring a police escort. I felt so special. But we get in his car and we start heading towards the mansion. Halfway there, I start to realize my uncle is not driving on the correct side of the road. At one point, he honked at somebody driving the correct way. Look, I'm gonna just say something. Nigeria has 2/3 of America's population, yet it comes in 4th, right behind the United States, in traffic-related deaths. However, I'm not saying that what I have said in this video is a coincidence related to this. Did you think I had more to say? Like, there is no coincidence. Niggas just dying because they being reckless. Now, when we entered the compound of the mansion, I felt like I was in a movie, but like a Nigerian Nollywood movie. Like, look at this shit, my nigga. But for real though, the next few days could only be described as watching the African version of Everybody Hates Chris. How, you may be asking? Where do I begin? Every single day, my mom had someone new for my sister and I to come greet. And without fail, every single time, they would call me a white man or Oyibo, which in certain contexts is really just the same thing. But let's get something straight here though. I know I'm light skinned, but I'm not that light skinned, okay? A cop will always have a 100% chance of mistaking my wallet for a gun. But just cause your ass been burnt crispy by this African sun, don't mean that I'm white. Niggas out here trying to take away my black card and shit. Anywho, some of the people that came over were some of my mom's friends and some relatives. But one of the people that my mom did invite over genuinely pissed me off. So one day while at a wedding reception, I jokingly brought up to my mom, hey, didn't you say that you had somebody lined up for me to date in the future in case I couldn't find somebody in America? She was like, yeah. You know, matter of fact, I'll have her and her mom come over in 2 days. I was just like, you're for real? Okay, yeah, I mean, sure, fine, I guess. In 2 days? Bet. Keep that 2 days in mind. 1 day passes and my sister comes and knocks on the door of the room that I'm in and says, hey, mom wants you to come see some people outside. Mind you, I'm dressed in basketball shorts, a long sleeve t-shirt, and slides with socks. I walk out to the front of the house and my mom immediately introduces me saying, hello, yes, this is my son, Campoleon. And Campoleon, this is the girl you were asking me about. I will not front with y'all. I am truly under the belief that other dimensions exist. Because when I heard my mom say that, I genuinely shit myself. But the crazy thing is, the shit just vanished right after that. So it had to have gone to another dimension. At least I can now put shitting in another dimension on my resume. Anyway, I was terrified because here was this fine shit right in front of me. And I was not prepared. But my mom unknowingly stalled for me as I gathered up my courage. Now, what did I do with that courage, you may ask? I did not bag a baddie, I can tell you that. But I'm okay with that because she just was not my type. Sure, she was just as introverted as me and played video games, but I like passionate women, or, you know, those artistically inclined so that we can collaborate on stuff. And she wasn't that, and that's cool. But I will never forgive my mother for the way she set me up like that. You got me wearing a bummy outfit in front of the hoes. Moving on, I think somebody cursed me before we even went on the trip to begin with. Not just because of the previous situation mentioned, but it's because my laptop's fan was broken because it was dropped by somebody, and my Switch and phone fell in the fucking toilet. Thank God it was before I took the fattest shit in said toilet. Not gonna lie, you could call this a shitty situation. I'm sorry. Next, I'm going to talk about the people in the village. To begin, you ever seen somebody wearing something that just doesn't seem right on them? Not because it don't fit or anything, but it's just like they are the ones that this shit was not meant for. That's how I felt whenever I'd see somebody in the village wearing non-traditional clothing. Perfect example of what I mean by this is this 10 to 13-year-old kid wearing a backwoods shirt to church. Like, the fuck this little nigga know about backwoods? He not puffing strong like that. Poser. But honestly, I'm just jealous because when I used to go to church as a kid, I used to want to wear really cool shirts. But instead, my mom would put me in a blue dress shirt, dress pants, and shoes as hard as bricks. I felt like a fucking goofball out there. And your dumbass might just be like, "Aw, that's so cute. Your mom cares about you. She wants you to dress nicely." Fuck off, stupid bitch. I wanted to wear my Pikachu shirt. Now, originally, I was going to talk about how this church session that we had happened at my mom's elementary school and how strange that was. However, I felt that there was a more important church session to bring up. So on New Year's, we went to church 1 hour late. We proceeded to stay there for another 3 hours because they were doing something called harvest. Organs, you may be asking? No, money. Completely different path, same goal. Anyway, for that 4th hour, there was just a nigga walking throughout the church asking for money, but also reading the names of people donating money. Mind you, this was after they had sent out the 4th offering collection plate. I swear they spoke against this type of greed in the Bible. And I don't think this shit would have pissed me off that badly if it were not for the state that the church itself was in. For context, I think they collected well over $5,000 that day. And yet, the church's ceiling looked like this, and every seat in that motherfucker was dusty as shit. You mean to tell me you couldn't take at least 1,000 out that hole and pay people to fix something here? And I know they're not using the money to pay rent or property tax. Who's collecting all the money then? It's the pastor pocketing this shit, you dumbass. What else did you think was gonna be happening? That makes sense. Now, since this video is longer than I had intended on it being, we're gonna have to activate speedrun. Anyway, my time at the mansion was genuinely really fun, and I ate a lot of beans while I was there. That should not come as a surprise if you know who I am. I'd rate the entire experience a solid 8 out of 10. What would have made it better? Not having my phone fall in the fucking toilet. Alright, so boom. Before I left Nigeria, the last interesting thing that I saw was in front of this restaurant, this poster that said, "Notice, no armed person is allowed in the restaurant," with pictures of knives, guns, Molotovs, and a fucking, is that a karambit knife? Also, my question is, if somebody walks in here with that 17th century looking shotgun, who's gonna tell him to get out if nobody can bring guns inside the premises? I now wonder how common this shit was for them to feel the need to put this thing up. Anyways, on my flight back to America, I had this absolute nuisance of a woman sitting next to me. Like, I would have rather had them fat motherfuckers who be talking about they need 2 airplane seats just to sit down comfortably sitting next to me than that bitch. Why? Because despite walking onto the plane with a mask on, she would eventually pull it down just so she could cough without covering her mouth. Bitch, my whole fist could cover your whole mouth if you don't stop coughing. I'm not trying to get sick. I'd never hit a woman. That was just for the sake of the joke. But on top of that, this bitch was sitting crisscross applesauce in her airplane seat, while also elbowing me and the other person sitting next to them in the armpit. Why do you need this much space? Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system, and even it doesn't need this much room. Also, at one point, she could tell that I was annoyed, so she just said to me, "Hey, I'm sorry, I just need a lot of leg room." You bitch, who are you complaining to? I am 6'3". But I am the type of 6'3" where most of my height is comprised of leg. Like, sometimes me and a 5'8" nigga will be sitting down and we be looking the same height until I stand up. Don't you dare complain to me about needing leg room on a flight. Moving on, when we got back to America, one of our flights landed in Utah. And after being around niggas for the past 2 weeks, I genuinely felt like a minority because everywhere that I walked was a white person. You could have told me there was a Klans meeting in the airport and I would not have batted an eye. So to conclude, that trip was pretty good, but it probably would seem better if I didn't go to Japan 3 days later. Bye.